Hello, this is Curtis Jennings and Kyle Burns, homework 9 for Engi 450. And today we're going to be discussing a how-to video on learning curves and work sampling. And within this presentation we're going to go through what a learning curve and what work sampling is and how to perform them, and also give some basic examples of what they are and where they are applicable. Learning curves are a way to measure human performance, and it's a geometric representation of the required time to complete a task. And Leto and Buck, within their book Introduction to Human Factors in Ergonomics for Engineers, they describe it as performance improves with experience. If you look over here to the right, you could see that it is a geometric representation, and if a person first starts off by completing a task, and maybe they're not that efficient at it at first, but over time, as the cumulative quantity increases, the average time will decrease. And we would want to perform learning curves essentially when we have time constraints within a manufacturing facility or maybe a job shop assembly, and we have certain individuals working in certain stations, and we know that certain people have the capacity of picking up a task a lot quicker than others, and we could associate that with a percentage for the learning curve. And it's really a way to interpret how long something will take and whether a person or maybe a procedure within a manufacturing facility is feasible. And how to perform learning curves? Well, there's a formula that we can use. It is y equals ax to the negative b, where a and b are parameters, and a is the required time to produce the first unit, and b is, like I just noted, a value related to the percentage associated with the learning curve. And that's on the bottom of the screen here. And we can note that for that learning curve that's 80%, it has an associated b value of 0.322. We would want somebody who has a the p value or the b value, we would want to be much higher. We would want that learning curve to have, say, a 40% learning rate rather than an 85%. It just means that the average time will decrease quicker as the cumulative quantity increases. And for example, an example of a learning curve is, say, if somebody was in a job shop assembly and they were assembling a bicycle tire to a rim, and maybe at first it takes them a while to get the tube and the tire on the rim, but over time that task will become much shorter to complete. And really it boils down to anything that we can represent, any task that is a procedure that we could represent using the learning curve.
The next section on this presentation is on work sampling. According to Auburn University, work sampling is a technique that will show the proportion of total time spent by workers to complete various tasks that contribute to the overall job by taking large numbers of observations randomly over a long period of time. Also, according to the business owner, observations reveal the percentage of the day workers perform productive work. So how are these done? There's some equations that go into this. As you can see, sigma is equal to the square root of p times q divided by n. And n is also equal to p times q divided by sigma. Sigma is the standard error proportion. P represents the percentage of idle time, q represents the percentage of working time, and n is the number of observation. So an example of this is calculating percentage of idle time for a company. Sum up all idle observations and divide by total number of observations. This can also give the percentage of working time. So as you can see, they have all the number of observations. They have 126 observations of idle time and 62 observations of personal times, which both of these contribute to idle time. So you add both of those up and divide by the total amount of observations. Once divided by the total number of observations, this gives a percentage. This percentage represents an individual worker, how much of the time while they're at work they have idle time. So to conclude about learning curves and work sampling, learning curves can give an estimate of how long tasks will take over a period of iterations, while work sampling allows the company to look at how productive that employees are being over a period of time. So here's all the references we used, and thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video.